Thank you so much for joining us today. We are so grateful to have you in the room. It would not be a webinar if you were not here. I would just be talking to the air. But even still, we are so grateful that you are here with us. I'm going to go ahead and introduce, just get right into it, I should say. So my name is Jazz Ballinger. And I've had the amazing opportunity to be able to work in dynamics, in dynamics of organizations, whether it's faith-based or whether it was a business structure, you name it. I've been able to serve on so many levels. And my greatest joy has definitely been being able to work with my children, okay? That has been one of my greatest joy, but for all the experiences of being able to work in, whether it's 501c3 organizations, faith-based or non-faith-based organizations, whether it was helping people scale their business or bring in more revenue for their business, dynamics of project management in education, business territory, levels of arts and entertainment, called mission work. But the thing that I began to discover in my 20 plus year journey of being a serial entrepreneur and even establishing my own business along the way, being a person that's had a big heart, multidimensional, tough, try my best to stay in the lines, but then also had this very adventurous type mindset and personality where you really couldn't contain me for too long. You know, I came across like you could, but behind the scenes, behind the quote unquote facade, I'm like, no, there's more, and I'm not going to be restricted, even though I may appear like I'm going to be here for long term. There's always been this quest for more. But what I've discovered in wanting to gain some level of stability and traction is all of those various organizations, whether it was, being able to work for a company called Gap and learn the aspects of branding and marketing, whether it was serving in dynamics of FedEx Corporation and understanding aspects of logistics and creating systems, whether it was modeling for various magazines, print organizations, hair shows, and working alongside these amazing creatives and directors, or being featured in various publications as I guess you could say a advisor. The reality is I was not given the blueprint of how to structure my 501c3 as a mindset coach, transformational coach, as a person that also served in dynamics of what we consider ministry or mission-driven work. These people that I admired and loved, because the duties were so high, number one, they did not take the time to share with me how to structure, because of course I would be seen as their competition. Number two, whether I was viewed as their competition or not, when it came down to establishing your 501c3, I'm talking about in the 90s, early 2000s, you have to understand it was like an inside scoop. Like, you had to really know a tax attorney, really be rubbing shoulders to millionaires or billionaires that had access to consultants or persons that knew the formula, depending on the state, knew how to organize and set up structures. And so you can imagine going through a life, maybe you've experienced it yourself, having to find give me the play-by-play book, give me the 1, 2, 3 step, give me the how-tos and the instructions, and I need you to take your time with it so I can absolutely get this done for the vision I have for myself. Like, I need answers. So you can imagine having to get pieces and pieces of various things along the way, only to have to go back to the drawing board and restructure things. Well, I'm grateful in my journey been able to work with 7-figure earners who also opened the door for me to gain access. Hey, amazing accomplishments in quote unquote America's quote unquote world, or my own personal status. I had a personal objective, and that is to get to the bottom line to things and really knock down systems so that I could give answers to those that are asking me and move forward. So I want to share with you, what is the Ease Out Challenge? The Ease Out Challenge is a 2-part thing. The Ease Out Challenge is, I want to help Black moms and Black families really get to the place of rest, ease, and also taking agency over their life. And one aspect of the Ease Out Challenge is the 501c3 toolkit, which you are in. And we're going to, with the Ease Out in the Ease Out Challenge, you're going to be gaining inside scoop on online training, tutorials, documents. Well, before I get into that, let me save that for later, okay? Let me just save that for later. Let's go ahead, and I want you to let me know where you're coming from before we get started. I want to learn, where are you coming from? Okay, I see Tennessee in the house. Woohoo! Okay, Tennessee is in the house. Hey, family. All right, who's in the house? Okay, Alaska is in the house. Awesome. I've never been to Alaska. Okay, New York is in the house. All right. What's up, New York? Y'all excuse me. Yay. Texas is in the house. Hey, Texas. Yes. I love some Texas. All right. Oh, Oregon. That's so cool. Awesome. Well, welcome everyone to the Ease Out Challenge. And we are so grateful to have you in the room. I'm going to skedaddle along because I do have a timer, and I want to make sure you are getting what I'm putting down, okay? I want to make sure you get all this goodness. So first, I want to just congratulate you in getting started with your 501c3. Again, this is the 501c3 Do-It-Yourself Toolkit presentation. And so just as a disclaimer, I have, yes, been able to formulate a nonprofit. I've been able to consult and advise persons with getting theirs started. And actually, my business has been able to sit along and really work with persons in making sure they are putting the due diligence in order. And so, yes, the 501c3 Do-It-Yourself Toolkit is really for mission-minded people that want to make sure that they have their things in order. Yes, typically when you're setting up your 501c3, there is a lot of processes and papers that you will need in order and structure. And if you're not willing to invest, sometimes invest in someone to get it accomplished for you, you can actually be out of pocket 3 and 4K. And I said no. I wanted to be that good honest business partner, and like, no, because I know what I know, I want to make sure you have the process of how it works. Number one, you need to know how this really works. And so let's go ahead and get into the slide. So you have your first steps. I call it the first steps of the 5 steps. Okay. So the first steps for starting your church or your nonprofit, and this is the order across the board, is number 1, you want to first do a name search. You want to make sure you do a proper name search. And the way that I have helped my clients is inviting them to go to their Secretary of State website. And if you already thought of a name, and type in where in their state, particularly in the state, is that name taken. Okay, that's number 1. You want to see in the state, where is the name taken? If it's not taken, then it's absolutely yours. But let's be very clear, guys. Your mission, your philosophy, and the legacy is attached to the name of your nonprofit or your foundation, okay? And so you want to take that into consideration as well. How are you wanting to be relayed or viewed in the eyes of those you're going to serve? What is the philosophy? What is the message, the standard of how you're wanting to be viewed in the community? So your name of your organization is not just a temporary name. It is a name of legacy. This name is going to go before you even after you're gone, and with that is the mission, the lives you transform, the people that you help along the way, and the impact that is made based off that name. So I would recommend, though, when you're doing a name search, to consider researching and really thinking through, what do you want this name of legacy and what is the mission really going to be about? Okay. Then you're going to, after you do your name search and you see that it's not taken, you're going to go to your irs.gov and obtain the EIN. Okay. So you're going to Then sign up for an EIN. It does not cost to get your EIN. You're going to go into irs.gov and you're going to look up EIN, and you're going to obtain the EIN. Then you're going to you have the SS form. That SS form, they have now loaded it on the internet, and so you can actually get your SS form paper instead of going directly to IRS or having it mailed. I encourage you to view it online. You're going to fill that information out. And the SS form is basically letting other people know that you are the owner of this name, that you are the owner, not of the name, but the foundation, the nonprofit, that you will not be bullied out of this name. And that SS form comes in handy because it lets the IRS know, okay, example, Jazz Ballinger is the owner of this organization, whatever the name of the organization, and we have that in stone. Whether you are if it's built for a church or a foundation, that SS form is basically saying this is yours, okay? Now, the next step is you're wanting to submit or file your articles of incorporation. And what I have in the in the toolkit, the articles of, and I'm looking at my notes to make sure I don't miss anything. The articles of incorporation, I have where you're going to input your name, all of your organization details, what it's all about. You're going to put the articles of incorporation because, and it's a document that has not changed in the last 10 years, and it won't possibly change, but the articles of incorporation solidifies and make it clear to the IRS along with your SS4 form that this is declaring their rightful position as a 501c3, okay? And then you're going to get your county legal organ, and they're going to put out like a publication in one of the newspaper articles, just showing and taking claim that this organization, basically an announcement that this organization is being formed and being formulated. And we need to pay attention to, again, remember I mentioned about the mission, philosophy, and legacy. We need to pay attention to what they're all about. But you're going to have to do that with your county. This is standard process. Yes, we live in a digital world, but there are still certain procedures that are already in place by your state that want you to go through certain processes in obtaining your 501c3. Okay. The next thing is opening your church checking account. Yes, you're going to open your church checking account and you're going to open it using your EIN. Okay. You already have the 5 steps. And I think I put 6 on here because it's very important that you understand the name search and choosing your name. So I put that there for clarity. So yes, but you're going to want to open your church checking account or your foundation checking account because you're going to have that in place as well. So these are the first steps. All right, next is our constitution and bylaws. So this is basically solidifying the ins and outs of have to change the name or revise the verbiage for the foundation. And again, if it's a ministry, then you'll keep the verbiage that I already have in there because I've helped with people getting their 501c3 for their ministry, but or church. But if it's for like a foundation or for a mission driven work, you want to change the wording from pastor to president, keeping the words of secretary and treasurer in there as well. And you want to take out any levels of like the scripture, like if there's scripture in there, I can definitely, assist you with that. We can do a one-on-one. Once you get your 501c3 toolkit, do-it-yourself toolkit, we can do a coaching call, consultation call, and I can help navigate that with you, okay? But yes, that is a standard. Your constitution bylaws is a standard in your packet. Okay, the next is our conflict of interest and policy. And these 2 policies are very explanatory. The conflict of interest, and I want to say is the reimburse policy. Okay, I separated it. So the conflict of interest policy is basically what it reads, and You want to make sure that's in your packet as a standard, because in the event you need to know what is the process to execute certain motions, certain situations. You and your team, your board, will be able to follow back on the conflict of interest policy and make sure that it's congruent with, in accordance to how you're wanting to handle things in that regard. The next thing is your reimburse policy. This is a part of your 501c3 toolkit, especially if you are going to be gaining grants. There are payroll processes. If you're going to be receiving money, so if you're going to be receiving grants, scholarship money, and people investing, donations, you want to have a reimbursement policy in order. If you are a ministry or a pastor and you are not on salary, or you are on salary, you want to make sure your tithes, your offerings, the seeds, the things that are sown, as the verbiage is in the church world, but you want to make sure all monies that are being received within this organization has a process, a policy in place. And this particular, these two policies, the conflict and the reimburse policy, is very necessary, because you want to make sure that in the event there is a time for, tax time and all of that, you want to make sure you have that in order in the process of any reimbursement that may needs to go out, or document what's coming in. That's very important. Okay. Now, insurance is very critical for your 501c3. You want an insurance policy, especially as a church, because number one, or if you have a foundation or a mission driven and you have people that are going to be working on your team, whether it's a marketing team, certain departments and auxiliaries and ministers, you want to have an insurance policy, because the insurance policy will cover and protect the building, the school, the infrastructure, the equipment, and your ministers and yourself as the founder. This is important because we don't want anyone to be liable. And in the event that something does happen, you have coverage. And you want that to be a part of your packet, your do-it-yourself packet. It's something that I often encourage my clients to not look over. And in our 501c3 toolkit, we have partnered with an insurance company, and we will be sharing that information with you once you once you purchase your 501c3 do-it-yourself toolkit. Now, additional training and resources, being a person that absolutely likes to look out for the bigger picture, the whole thing, I have also offering our, number one, we're offering our 7-figure retirement rich ready 7-figure toolkit, where you will have, I'll share with you all of the various processes and things that you need in that 7-figure toolkit, from grants, funding, credit, to getting properties, having your being able to do payroll within your 501c3. I'll be sharing all of that within those within that. Also, I have a mentorship, and I am accepting clients now that need someone to really go through the ins and outs of their business and comb through what's going on in their business or their structuring of their organization, and they need someone to really coach and mentor them, from branding, marketing, to how to set up your business structure, also understanding other ways to get to the bag through passive income, all the things. If you're needing that level of mentorship and transformation, I am doing levels of mentorship, and you can more than welcome to invest. And only 9K is your investment. And so in the 501c3 do-it-yourself toolkit, I am offering a bookkeeping service, which is also a part of the bookkeeping service is also a part of our one of our additional programs that we're offering to our amazing students that need that strategy and need that help of really organizing their books. Especially the expenses, what's going in and out, tracking your mileage, tracking business dates and vacation time, but also those moments, those sporadic moments where people just want to give to you. You need a bookkeeping process and system in place so that when it comes to tax time, and I won't get into that too deep, you will have the proper things in order in in the in motion if you were ever to be audited. Okay, let's get into the nitty gritty. Are you all enjoying this so far? I hope you are gaining insight. So the next thing is we have the compensation plan and housing allowance. The compensation plan and housing allowance is basically just what it says. Of course, you understand you have options. Now, if you're a pastor and you're like, no, I want to be exempt from gaining compensation from the work I do, you have to understand the pros and cons to what you're actually saying. You are actually saying that you will not receive a salary from your level of labor of love. But we understand that in this life, in America, there's going to come a time when you're going to retire. And I often try to advise my pastors that have good hearts. Like I started off with a heart like that, but hey, I have to live. And people may say you don't need a salary, but you do need a compensation plan. The work of a pastor or any person that is serving in dynamics of a fivefold ministry gift is a type of work. It is a labor. It is not to be ignored. Whether no matter what their role is, if they are the senior pastor, they're operating in their fivefold gift, they need to be compensated. Okay. So you want to have in place like your retirement plan. The details need to be fully cleared out and made clear with your board, your secretary, your treasurer. You want to make sure that you all have an understanding of what and how much a percentage will be allotted and allowed in the salary for your pastor. Now, if you're a foundation, it's the same thing. I provide the documents in there specifically for you as well. And the documents will clarify what it will look like. And so all you have to do is basically, if you're generating income, seed sown, donations, grants, or whatever, you need to have in mind what is already your monthly expenses and be able to do the math and make that very clear of what is going to be compensated to you. Okay. And so that is provided in the packet. Also, housing allowance. Now, your board members need to understand the total costs it takes to maintain your home. And what I've done is I've provided what you must consider when it comes down to calculating this, and that's you as the founder, you as the pastor. But then also this is important for the board to discuss if you happen to have persons that are working in certain departments like your marketing team or your media. How are you going to do that? Is everyone going to be on payroll, or are you going to pay some and have others being volunteered or a stipend here and there? That has to be communicated and put on paper and put in your packet so that you all have an not only an idea, but also a quota and a goal to reach. Having a 501c3, whether exempt or non-exempt, but of course exempt, it is still a business of operation. And there are lives within your organization that there are things that need to happen in your organization. Yes, but it's people that are making things move around. And so you want to be an honest business person, an honest person, and say, okay, this is the volunteer territory. We're only able to give marketing or food. But if, but when it comes to compensation, we can't really give you food. And I mean, we can't really pay you for your work. So you really want to sit down with also a tax attorney in that process as well in the near future to really map out, okay, how will payment be allocated, and what that would look like. All right, now let's talk about self-employment. Self-employment. A lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of pastors, a lot of you are probably working W-2 jobs. You got your side hustles. You got a whole lot going on. Okay. Well, a lot of ministers and pastors or founders are concerned that once they opt out of Social Security, they will no longer be eligible to receive Social Security benefits when they retire. Well, I want to give you some assurance that opting out of paying self-employment or opting out of paying self-employment taxes only pertains to the income you receive as a minister. So the exemption does not affect any earnings you have received from secular employment, okay? Just the income you will receive for the work you do as a minister. And I think that it's necessary to understand that any Social Security credits that you have gained through the years, they will not affect you at all. Any should I say Social Security credits that you've earned from secular employment will remain unaffected. So relax. But there are two main points that I really want to hammer down on. Is one, you do not need to have your 501c3 approval in hand in order to apply for your self-employment tax exemption. That is a misconception. So I want to clarify that you do not have to have it in hand, okay, to apply for self-employment tax exemption. The second thing that I want to hammer down is the Form 4361. It is time sensitive. So the documents have to be signed and sent to the IRS as quickly as possible. As I've shared in the prior slides, that is very important that you make it your optimum goal to have all the things done within a 6 months time frame. So you do not need your board of directors or need to host a board meeting for this, because this is something you're doing for you as the founder, the leader, the pastor, the organization spearhead. Now, let's make sure let's demystify something really quick. If you're asking yourself, what am I doing? Let me explain what you're doing. You are applying for exemption from having to contribute a portion of your ministerial income to Social Security, okay? And in the packet, I give you what you need in order to follow the process in getting that accomplished. That you are exempt, that's wonderful. But in the long haul, when you decide to retire or you decide to have another director running your organization and you filing as exempt, you don't have any income flowing, or that has not been documented, then that may put you in a really bad spot. But it really depends on, again, the integrity of your organization, how you're going to set up, and also what other resources or inheritances that maybe you already have where you're not worried about that. So you have to make that decision as it relates to knowing the pros and the cons of what's best for you, whether choosing to be self-employed or being exempt. Okay. The next thing we're going to go into is the ordination. So if you're a church or a ministry that is that it's about to be pastor or whatever, you may have a network that has already vouched that you are ready to lead others or follow others in this pursuit of leadership and integrity. But you don't necessarily have to have a ceremony per se, like we like to do, which is, nice and noble. But then also you being able to have a certificate, and I provide that certificate in the packet, and showing that, okay, yes, you are vouched and you are going to take ownership of this organization and you're going to serve it with dignity and confidence. And it is definitely a real deal. You want to put that certificate in your packet as well. And I provide a template for you to go by on that. You don't necessarily have to have a ceremony, but it's good to have the certificate of ordination in your packet. If you are a 501c3, it doesn't have to say ordination per se, but it can say the date we started. I certified that, for example, myself, JMB is the organizer of this organization, signed this date, and my secretary and treasurer can sign it. And we are, here for whatever that name, ABC organization, And so I provide that in the packet. All right. Now I'm leaving room for the unspoken questions. Okay. A lot of you are wondering, okay, should I have multiple 501c3s? Okay. I have a 501c3. I got this church I want to start. Let me give an example of a church. And you know what? I can also say a church or a foundation. Let me give this example of a church or this foundation. And we're going to have so many different departments. We have the finance department. We have the media. We have the dance team, the mentorship cohort, let's say you are a foundation and it's called Helping Hands, Helping Love. And you have an alcoholic intervention. You have the kids corner, department. You have the department that maybe it's the food pantry. You have all of these little departments and auxiliaries, and what you want to look at it is like a umbrella. Your 501c3 is the top of the umbrella, okay, and the 8 little spins that are around the 501c3 that cover you from the rain. Those 8 or however many auxiliaries or departments you have are your ministries or your departments. And also, let's say you are, for example, if you have a personal ministry or a personal type of work that is an extension of your 501c3. For example, Jazz Ballinger Worldwide, I outreach, encouragement, food pantry, gift certificates, feeding the poor, helping mothers, all of that, teaching, all of that is books, all of that is an extension of me. But it also is the bigger picture of the 501c3. Well, I can put JBW under my 501c3 as well, because it's an extension of what I do. The 501c3 is just an extension of what I do. It's just now I have other people that are also have the confidence to work alongside with me and participate in those various extensions. Okay. Now let's get into making it a little bit more. You're asking of how is payment coming through? Okay. In the Retirement Rich Ready 7-figure guide, I give you information and documents, and really, I advise you to get that as well, because it's going to really map out the blueprint of the holding company, the divisions and the subsidiaries of making cash flow and for profit, or what I like to say, the ecosystem of moving more integration in the 501c3. So let's say you have your 501c3, you're tax exempt. That's one. That's for your church, or that's for your foundation. Okay, that's for the church. Okay, then you open up another 501c3, and that could be strictly for where there is an ecosystem of receiving grants and funding and for profit, where you're able to pay your employees or those that work, and these employees may still work for the quote unquote first 501c3, but you have to create a separate 501c3 from the church dynamic, because you want to make sure it has its own identity, especially if you're going to be receiving grants and fundings and you want to receive monies for, let's say you're wanting to do a transitional home, you're wanting to create a transitional housing for domestic moms or domestic abused dads. You want to create a school, and you're needing to receive certain grants, but you also going to have to, it's for profit, because you're going to have to create salary and income. You have to create, I would suggest to create a 501c3, and I have a certain, and I encourage you to get the 7-figure Retirement Rich Ready guide, because in that will give you more resources for the for-profit or 501c3 ecosystem that you really want to build out for to receive grants and funding and pay through your for-profit. If you're a church, you need a corporate seal kit. I give you the links below on your corporate seal kit, and in that you're going to put all of the packet details, most of it, in this corporate seal kit. And that is a link I provide for you in the do-it-yourself toolkit. You need that corporate seal kit because it allows you to have, let's say the IRS wants to come and really get details and wants to audit, you can say, hey, here's our corporate seal kit. This is what we're all about. And that gives you, from your branding and marketing strategies, your flyers, your what we discussed in the prior presentation, the ins and outs of how your compensation plan, all of that will be in that corporate seal kit as well. Disclaimer, I am not a tax attorney. Tax liability, it's different from nonprofits and for-profits. Talk to a corporate tax person that works with nonprofits and organizations. I think it's very important. If you're receiving stipends and love offerings, understand that is still income. Okay, guys? I'm providing you the do-it-yourself toolkit as a startup. So if you want to go in depth and do a consultation, all of that, hey, feel free to connect with us. We want to help you. We want to see you get this through, and we want to be able to provide the necessary information so you can go out and do this mission. Okay. And so that leads me into our consultation services, our mentorship services that we provide, and to not be afraid to ask for help. Some of you are going to possibly need, excuse my baby in the background. Some of you are going to possibly need someone, you got the do-it-yourself toolkit, but you're going to need me, our team, to really just walk you through step by step, really holding your hand for the additional support. And we're willing to assist and help you in that regard so that you can get this accomplished and submitted. Okay. Systems and processes goes back to, when it comes down to your systems and processes, you want to make sure you have things in order and in line. You want to make sure you have your bookkeeping and those necessary things in order. And I've provided you links as well to guide you in the insurance and church mutual funds and all of that. I've provided you, let me start over. So yes, the systems and processes, I shared with you that we would share a little bit on that, but very quickly, I've provided in the do-it-yourself toolkit links for you to have to get everything in order. Now, last but not least is the submission of your 1023 form. Let's say you're already doing your organization, like you've already doing all the things. You're just waiting for everything to be approved. Okay, cool. But then you don't want to wait I say even a year. Don't wait past a year to get your 1023 packet submitted. Okay, you want to, I think it's 2 to 3 years. You have 2 to 3 years to submit your packet after you've done all of this. Yeah, but don't go fact check me. Please fact check me. If I say give yourself, your personal self, a year, 6 months to a year to get this accomplished and submitted. Okay, you need to be on it immediately. Once you start your do-it-yourself toolkit, you need to have a goal in mind within 6 months between doing your name search and all of the steps, everything I've shared with you, because you need to have your 1023, which is a part of all of this, submitted. The packet, you don't want to submit your 1023 form until you have done everything prior, 15, 17 slides prior to what I've just shared with you. You want to make sure that you are doing your due diligence to properly put all the things in order. It's a process. But this is a process that will work. And you want to make sure, depending on your state, that you know what is your state requiring as it relates to the Herald. You're like, make sure you know where the Herald is. Every step that I have given you is the process, and it's your job, because life is going to happen. Things are going to come up. I get it. But you need to give yourself, okay, this month I'm going to focus on doing a name search. This week I'm going to focus on doing a name search. Okay. Next week I'm going to focus on submitting my EIN, or in that moment, once the name is like, Everything needs to be working fast, okay? But in a pace where you can go back to the do-it-yourself toolkit um, class and get all of your resources. I am tracking with you through the whole process, okay? So that is that as relates to your process. I am absolutely looking forward to you being a part of the do-it-yourself challenge. You are in the challenge now. Now I'm challenging you to get the work accomplished. If you have been a part, able to see this video, we are offering our do-it-yourself toolkit today for only $247. Only $247. If you see this video, if you watch it from front to end, you are receiving the do-it-yourself toolkit for $247. All of the documents are in the PDF form. All of them should be accessible. I know most of them, all of them are accessible for you to fill in the blanks for your professional organization and the details to input. But please reach out to me so we can fix any glitches or anything that may come up or that are not available as I've shared in this webinar or in the course. We want to see you excel and succeed, and we want you to have the confidence in knowing that this is coming to fruition for you. Don't hesitate to reach out to me. Don't hesitate to reach out to us to answer any questions so that you can properly complete these forms. If you feel as though, Jasmine, I need you to hold my hand, or if you feel as though, Jazz, hold my hand through this, one of me or my team members, we can walk you through the process and consult you through the journey. Or if you're one of the ones that want to say, Jazz, I don't want to do it myself, can we invest in having your consult team work on this? Absolutely. We can have that accomplished. We've done it many times in the last 2 to 3 years, and a lot of people have been able to successfully get their 501c3. Again, I am Jazz Ballinger. Thank you so much for trusting us to work with you and getting your 501c3. Have an amazing day, and we'll see you on the other side. Take care.